August 5th. Today is the regularly scheduled monthly Planning Commission meeting. It is now 7 o'clock and this meeting is in order. May we have the roll call, please?
Kenjuk,
Here.
Hauser,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
Bachman, Botich,
Here.
Campbell,
Here.
Harden,
Here.
Murphy,
Here.
Stone.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. If you would join me in doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have quite a bit on tonight's agenda. We have 3 public hearings and 4 items up for consideration. Is there anyone that would like to comment on anything that may not be on tonight's agenda? If you're planning on leaving earlier or what have you, and you want to talk about something like on the public meeting or on the public hearing or one of the projects that are up for consideration, you're also welcome to come up. If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Lauren Coleman, 337 Grigg Street. I actually have a procedural question for tonight's agenda. I noticed that the consideration for 326 Albertson Street is under the consideration section and not under the public hearing section. So my question is, there has been new information shared in the most recent package. So what does consideration mean? Will we have an opportunity to ask questions or provide any public comment during that consideration section?
You can but preferably that, you would either do it now or afterwards. Typically when there's public comment, it's during the public hearing section, and then consideration, the format is a little bit different, but you can interject at any point.
I'm just confused because there was a go-do after the last meeting that they were at to collect questions and to provide answers to the questions. Mm-hmm. And so I expected that we would be able to provide public comment based on the answers to those questions before the commission was asked to vote.
Well, the only thing we would be voting on is whether to advance it to a public hearing. We wouldn't be voting to approve the project.
Okay, so the vote tonight in the consideration is literally just to determine whether or not we're ready for the public hearing.
Just to correct that, they actually already had a public hearing, and so just a correction on procedure, the public hearing was held, and this is the secondary. It goes under consideration because the public hearing, it's already qualified as a public hearing.
My mistake.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a back and forth, but there is an opportunity for public comment right now.
Okay, so we either have to make public comment right now, or it has to be held for the end of the meeting.
Well, it does also go to city council, so there would be another opportunity before city council approval.
So I thought I just heard him say the vote during consideration would be whether or not we need another public.
That's what I was interjecting to correct, is that we already had a public hearing.
So even though the full information wasn't available.
I'd love to answer questions, that we're trying to get answers, you're not trying to hide things.
Right.
Yeah.
The item comes up, ask questions.
I think
Okay.
that's fine as long
So
as
there'll be
you're
an
okay with it.
opportunity after the new information is presented to council for then people to ask, or sorry, commission.
Yes, as long as the commission's okay with it.
Commission okay with it?
I think so.
Okay.
Everyone's nodding their head.
All right, thank you very much, I appreciate
All
it.
right. Anyone else?
So Tom Nabedy and Tara Nabedy, 1017 Inglewood, and it's regarding the 325 Albertson location. So I thought we would just take the opportunity to say, we heard the public comment at the last, and we've decided not to partner with the gym. We've decided to kind of pivot on our plans and make it a private club, but we're going to need more time before we're ready to present our new business plan. So we're actually not going to be presenting or answering the questions tonight that were brought up last time.
Okay, well,
So I thought this would be a good time to bring them, just like let you know.
We heard their concerns.
Yeah, we heard your concerns, and we're gonna
Put things on pause for a minute.
Yep, and the Russells aren't here tonight, but they're aware of our change of plans, and we will be re-presenting, not changing the exterior facade, not changing the architectural plans, just the what's going to go in there, the business plan. a very, trying to shrink the footprint that they would have from a traffic standpoint specifically. So,
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
think that's all.
Okay.
All right.
So we can
Thank you,
take-
everybody, for all your time.
Yeah,
We
we
appreciate
really
you guys.
appreciate your time. I'm sorry I didn't start with that. Yeah, thank you for all your time you've given us and given this project.
We wanted
We're not
to-
done.
Yeah.
We're just taking a pause and pivoting.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we move on, is anyone else have any comments about any other topic? Okay. All right, let's move into the approval of the minutes. Does any of the commissioners have any changes that they feel are necessary? All
I
right.
would make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All right, the motion was by Commissioner Murphy and seconded by Commissioner Harden. Roll call, please.
Kenjuk,
Yes?
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Vojicic,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
All right. Then let's move on to Section 5, which is public hearings. The first one on tonight's agenda is 134 South Main Street, site plan review and facade modification. Before we get started, is the applicant here? All right, thank you. At this point then, Commissioner, or Ms. Morgan, do you have any, would you like to do your review, please?
Sure. I think we've seen this a number of times, so I'm going to keep it really brief this evening and just point out the couple of things that we'd like to make sure are considered. So given the structural necessity of the design change and compliance with the relevant design standards, we recommend the Planning Commission grant site plan approval of Amendment Number 1 of the Berlotti Family Office at 134 South Main Development, assuming that the previously noted conditions, which include coordination of the property owner to the south for any vegetation cleaning of the alley is carried out. And then the other portion is that in order to make sure that there is compliance with Section 2118 of the ordinance, the mural design that was previously mentioned would be necessary, and that would need city administrative approval before its installation. Other than that, I'm happy to answer questions, but it is consistent with what we saw at the last meeting.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments at this time? All right. Then if that's the case, it is now 7:08. We'll open it for the, no, I'm sorry. The applicant, if you would come up and do your presentation, please. And likewise, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Roger Barrett, 6435 Apple Orchard Lane, Rochester Hills, Michigan. As mentioned, we've been up here a couple of times now to go over this. I appreciate your understanding on the structural issues that are presented last time. Right now, we're here just to respectfully ask for approval. In talking to the client, we would prefer the curved awning design. We're open to the other one, but after sitting with both of them for a while, he still prefers the curved one, and my advice to him was that's probably the better one for the design we're going for. So we would seek approval for that design specifically, but we're also open to this one if that's what is desired by the Planning Commission. As far as the mural, yeah, we still have plans to move forward with that. That's probably one of the last things we would do, of course, but there's no intention not to do it.
And just to be clear, McKenna's review did not include the curved awning, but it was because in our eyes and in compliance with the ordinance, they would be viewed the same. So it would be up to you to make the final decision on if you'd like to allow for that specific design, but just both weren't included in the letter.
And then as far as the vegetation, I don't know if anyone's been back there, it is all gone. It's all gone. It looks like a whole different world back there. Like the south building and ours, it's all gone. So it's kind of wild to see it.
Rich.
So for the room's benefit, do you have a file where you can put the curved awning
up on the board so we can all
Sure.
see
I think
what that
it's-
looks like?
Part of this, or it was in the one I gave you last month, if you still have it with you.
Personally, I get frustrated that you present this to us as something to review. I spend time at home reviewing it. You stand up here and then tell the audience, hey, we're going back to the first design, which we all told you we were against. At least I was somewhat
I didn't
vocal.
specifically say that. I said we prefer it, but we're open to either one.
Well, I understand, but you're leaning in one direction and you're gonna be
Yeah.
disappointed when I tell you my real opinion.
Thank you.
So, if my memory serves right, and I'm getting older, so maybe I have it wrong, but I thought that some of us had stated we felt like this looked like a Wendy's, and this is the gateway to our town, and I'm not sure what sort of vibe and impression we wanted to give with the curved finish, which is why we asked for something different, and you guys delayed this 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
My point, I would much prefer what is in the proposed current package we reviewed as opposed to what I see on the board, which I still feels like a revamped Wendy's.
Well, we're comfortable with either one. I just said we prefer the curved one.
Understood.
Mr. Chair, I told him, it's funny, Wendy's just got rid of that. Now it's flat. I went some, like, I told the commissioner, I happened to notice Wendy's changed their whole look, so it would still look like old Wendy's, but not the new ones.
Procedurally, help me out here. How should we go with this?
Because it's a design standard and it's not necessarily one that is specifically called out, it really does fall to the planning commission to make the call on what you would prefer to see. And I'm sorry, I can't give better guidance than that, other than the fact that you do have the leverage to do that.
All right.
So you would make a motion to whichever one you wanted, if it
Yes.
passed.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then you can make a motion to the other one.
All right.
That would be my advice.
Well, before we go to a motion, let's have a little conversation in terms of, how people feel in terms of either the curved one or the most recent proposal. Mr. Berlitich?
So you say that you prefer the curved one. What about, you say it's more of a look that you're going for? Could you elaborate on that in any way?
Well, I mean, I can tell you sort of through the process of doing this, my client looked at a lot of different buildings throughout Rochester, Birmingham, Royal Oak. And there are specifically a couple in Birmingham that have this same awning design that he thought was appealing and sophisticated and fit the neighborhood. Tougaloo has curved awnings right across the street from us. They're a different material and they're a different size, granted, but they are the same kind of swoop shape. I do think, if you see this in context of the overall design and not just from the front elevation, the whole project comes together better. And as we're in the process of doing it with the landscaping and the patio structure and everything, we just think it all goes together to create a nice cohesive design. So that's just my design opinion, it's my client's opinion. And at the end of the day, I'm advising him on what I liked too, so.
Jeremy, this is a lot to ask, but any chance you could pull up a picture of Tougaloo?
I think it's the bottom right.
It looks like that.
I think, Roger,
Yeah.
that Tougaloo is more like a canopy almost, though. Would you kind of agree with me?
Oh, yeah, it's certainly a canopy.
It's a canvas canopy, that's.
Yes.
And while you're looking, just to be clear, the issue before us is, do we go to the sloped one that was the second iteration? The first iteration, not gonna happen because of the structural issues on the roof. So it's the sloped one, or if it's more of a straight face one, correct?
Yes, we
Okay.
have two versions
Two
of
versions.
that newer.
And as Lori said, we have the discretion to pick which one we want. Although you prefer the sloped, ultimately the decision rests with us, correct?
Yes.
Is that right, Lori? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, and just as a reminder, that first option is off the table for structural issues. So
100%.
that is why we are down to these two.
Gotcha.
All right, any other comments or questions?
There's probably no way to put them side by side, Jeremy.
There you go.
You're working on it.
Yeah.
Because I pulled up the one, but. I know. Okay, okay.
Okay. So the decision, Mayor, is, I think, what you were saying, right or left?
And we already approved one, I thought. Absolutely.
No.
Yeah,
No,
well,
we
we
haven't.
approved the first one, the left
This
one.
one.
That's what we
Right,
approved.
and then that got into the trouble with structure.
Right,
Okay.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm not, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Recognize. I want to make sure I'm not lost now. The one in the packet that says approved is what we approved, which looks neither like one of these.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I can maybe recap, the reason the first one, well, the first iteration was approved back in January. And then the applicant came back approximately a month later, if I'm not mistaken, at the February meeting, and they presented the curved awning. The issue primarily was twofold. The framing for the curved structure was built before it was even approved. So that became a major issue. The other issue was that it was not clear to me and some of the other commissioners as to the reason why the change was being made. So those are the primary reasons why the curved awning was turned down at the time. All right. And then subsequently, the applicant came back with the facade there that is on the right. I don't think we ever said that, the issue that we had again was the timing and how the sequence went in terms of the curved awning.
So I think whoever said that, somebody makes a motion for one or the other.
We can do that. Yeah, if there's no other comment or what have you,
Should open the public hearing.
Yep, open the public hearing.
oh, one, open public, all right, then let's do that. Let's hold it open for public hearing. Anyone in the audience want to comment on this particular project or what their preference may be for either of the awnings?
You have to say what time
It is 7:19.
No.
Okay.
Rose, is anyone online?
No one's online.
All right, then we'll close the public hearing at 7:20. Now, would anyone like to make a motion? Mr. Burlitich?
One more question for that. So when you say that you're open to either one, which two are you referring to then?
These two.
Those two.
So the approved one in this package,
No,
Can't be,
structurally,
it's structural.
we
Problems.
presented that at the last meeting. There's a lot of issues with it opens up the roof and creates a
Gotcha.
lot of problems.
Thank you.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion either for the option on the right, which was the second iteration, or the option on the left? I'm sorry, the option on the left, which was the second iteration, or the option on the right, which is the current iteration?
You're gonna vote on both of them if one goes failing, is it something?
Okay. I would make a motion to vote on the straight one. And I can give a reason, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I feel like the straight lines of the wall and what's going on the patio side, of the two, it just looks better than having the curve with all the others. Everything is so straight and clean. I am not a designer. I'd like that in the record, please. But I think it just looks better.
So your motion is the one on the right.
The one on the right.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr.
Okay,
Secretary.
that's fine, you can second.
All right, well then, if you would, Jeremy, take the roll call, please. This is a motion to approve the awning on the right, which is a straight line.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Milotic,
Yes.
Campbell, Harden,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Great,
Thank
thank you.
you.
You will
Thanks,
see
Roger.
the straight one.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is for 139 Romeo. It's a site plan review and special exception related to parking. Before we continue, is the applicant in the audience? Thank you. Lori, if we can hear your updates on this project.
Sure. So just to recap this one a little bit more completely, at 139 Romeo, they are proposing a mixed-use two-story mixed-use building within the general commercial district, so that is allowed. It has residential units on the upper level, and it's mixed use, the office, sorry, thank you, Jeremy, on the first floor, it's been a long day. When you previously saw this in February of this year, or at first saw this in December of 2025, and the public hearing was held in February of 2026, they were conditionally granted approval, subject to 8 conditions. Almost all of those conditions have been met, which is a correction to when we saw their updated consideration last month. So just to be clear, there has been a letter that was submitted sort of guaranteeing that the other 7 conditions have been met. But the remaining item that has not been met is meeting their parking requirement. Section 2402, Part 9, does allow the Planning Commission to waive the parking requirement for retail use or in general to reduce the requirement because they have not been able to meet the parking requirement otherwise. They are asking for your approval of that waiver and have submitted the appropriate documentation. The applicants made significant effort to comply with the standards of the ordinance and conditions of the previous reviews. All but one of the original conditions for approval have been met, and the request for a parking waiver to fulfill the final condition comes after a concerted effort to meet the requirements by other means. The unique shape of the parcel places limitations on the parking design, which is consistent with standards for granting a parking waiver as laid out by the zoning ordinance. While the precedent created by granting a waiver must be taken into consideration, this process has also established precedent for pursuing pursuing every alternative before defaulting to the waiver, which is what we would like to see as a sort of standard practice. So we don't provide an official recommendation, but do defer to the commission to make that final call on the waiver, pointing out that all of the other standards have been met. I think also will note in consideration of questions in the last time, there was some concern about the residential parking spaces and residents struggling to find parking, and they did note that residential spaces would be signed and sort of directly allocated to try to avoid that. So reducing some of the concerns that were previously noted. But with that, they have fulfilled the rest of the requirements, and we do defer to the Planning Commission to make the decision on the waiver.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? In a moment, sir. Yes, Mayor Jones.
My only, because you said they fulfilled the other, I remember the discussion about the dumpster, and I was just concerned about that, with it being retail and retail garbage and how much it is, but they were just going to use regular cans. They were not going to do dumpsters, so how did that end up?
So they are, essentially, they're good until they have identified a tenant, but that area does use those cans as pickup. So what they've identified is appropriate until something is found to deter from that decision, but they do meet the standards as would currently be required.
Okay.
Any other commissioners? All right. Is the applicant, would you like to say anything further, or are you good with where we're at?
I think we're good with where we're at.
All right. All right, then we'll open this for public hearing. It is now 7:26. Public comments. Sir, step up and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is David Cleve. I'm at 124 Charles, Rochester. I am directly south from this property. The Planning Commission, when they approved the condo building on the corner of Romeo and Rochester Road, for some reason there wasn't significant parking. I purchased the rectory from St. Philip's 8 years ago, and for them to keep in compliance with the city when they did their addition in the 90s, they took part of that lot and made it the parking lot, the east part of that parking lot. So when I bought the property, I had said that parking lot comes with me, and as long as they stay at church, I'll grant them an easement so they can continue to stay in compliance with the city. The building, the condo building across with Advantage Lending and the dentist seem to let their employees park in that parking lot. So my concern, living across the street from this property, is all of a sudden my property is now going to become a public parking lot. Or they're going to park in front of my driveway or my house. So I'm only asking the commission to take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Anyone else in the audience like to speak? Okay. Rose, anyone online?
No one's online.
All right, it is now 7:28. Public comment is closed. At this time, commissioners, do you have any additional questions or comments? Would anyone then like to make a motion, please?
I have one concern, and I think the applicant had mentioned as he asked around to his neighbors whether they would be willing to, sign a thing so he could use their parking spots. And they determined that no, they'd rather keep them because that would be limiting for their future options should they want to sell their building or have a different use. So my concern with granting the waiver, though I appreciate the applicant's perseverance in trying to pursue extra parking, is that that's coupled with what we just heard from a resident too, that parking is gonna be a big concern, and there really isn't any overflow. If they're not allowed to use the neighboring lots, there really isn't overflow on that corner. And I do know someone who works at the dentist, and she said that they park across the street because there's not enough. So yeah, I have concerns about it being too small of a space for enough parking.
Mayor?
I have kind of a procedure question. So if we do not grant that extra space, what happens next?
Essentially, the design has to be started again to come up with something that can comply. Nick, if you have another option. but-
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. He goes to office instead of retail, he'll be extra one space. So instead of retail, which he doesn't have a tenant, so if he takes part of that building and makes it office, it's 1 to 300 versus 1 to 200, he wouldn't even need a waiver. So you would be kind of forcing his hand to do that. But that's an option.
To be office rather than retail.
Part of it, or whatever the calculation would be.
Can someone refresh for the commissioners? The applicant was originally short, what, 3 spots?
Yeah, the applicant was short 3 spots. He needed to gain 3 within 300 feet. He was able to gain 2 directly adjacent, which is Lombardo's. They have an extra couple spaces that they were able to pick 2 up from, because that's how many extra that they had. Then he pursued the parcel that was a little bit further north on Main Street, and they got to the handshake agreement, but they needed to do a permanent easement on the site that would run with the land, and if they ever wanted to redevelop that site, then the easement would be preventing them from doing that. So the business owner was not comfortable with locking up his land.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to build on that for a minute. Wasn't there also, because of handicap parking in the front, there was a ZBA, was it the ZBA also made an allowance for them for
Yeah.
parking in the front?
You're not allowed to park in the front unless you ask for a ZBA waiver based on where the public entrance is. And with that drive lane being a shared 2-way drive lane, it made sense for the handicap space to be up front. So they wouldn't have to walk in the drive lane that could be dangerous.
There was actually already kind of a peculiar drive up there in the front that was used. So,
Commissioner Hauser?
Jeremy, if you can answer this question, the quote, we'll call it the handshake deal for him to use the parking, does that still exist? It was just a function of, it was the recording of the easement, right?
Yeah, the recording of the easement is the issue. I know that the business owner, last time I spoke with him, was still okay with allowing that, but that's not.
So it's a recording issue, not he didn't take it off the table. It's just, I don't want the easement recorded. Do you know how many spots that business owner was gonna let the applicant use? Just one, okay, so.
Just what was required.
One use, handshake, go ahead and use it. I just don't want to record it because I don't want it to prejudice my future use down the road.
Correct.
Okay.
which I think is valid. It's still, if it's recorded or not, to me, it's still the same situation. I really struggle a lot with parking and being new here and all the parking allowances we make as a city. I don't want to stand on this as a, well, we're going to take this one and, I don't know. I just feel like buildings should be built to fit our parking requirements. And so I'm sort of frustrated. It is only one spot. But I just feel like, to your point, so have it be office. That would allow you to not have to come in front of us for more parking. And I can't help but keep going back to that. Just everyone, we got some nods, so share, anyone else, if you have something.
I would like to completely understand the gentleman's issue from across the street, where that parking lot is and who's parking in there. And I think his issue is that if this is squeezed parking wise, then it may get worse. You say dentist people are parking there already, then if people from here start parking there, then that just exasperates his problem. But I don't understand I'm trying to look on the map here, but I don't understand all the logistics of it.
So on Charles, there's Charles, there's the church, and then they have a parking lot. There were two different parcels. There was a parsonage, which is his home there. But the lot line had some of the parking on, that went with the parsonage, so he bought that, but let them keep using this. Whether you give a waiver of a parking space or not, so hear me out here, people are gonna park there if they want to. The only way to stop that is you post signs that says private parking, you will be towed, and there's a number of buyers. And then they call the police, and then it would be towed, so. He has a point, he has a point, but it doesn't mean they're not gonna do it. So, and I don't know if the people at the dentist are parking there, you could tell them to get off the property right now. It's his property, not theirs. So unless there's some handshake agreement there, then he should be saying, don't park in my lot. You're trespassing, basically, so.
And he has granted the church permission to use that.
That's what he said, yeah.
But then,
That's what I heard.
just when they're, holy mass or whatever, so.
Yeah.
Any other comments or concerns?
I think just a big concern is there are no other, for lack of a better term, public parking spaces in that corner. If the building further north on Main Street is like, it's okay if you use that one, but, then you have a whole office of dentist people that may be kicked out of the church, and then where do they go? And so it just seems like that section of town, there just isn't, you're gonna clog up residential streets, or, there's nowhere to go on Romeo, there's, I don't know.
Jeremy, maybe you know this, there are, if I'm not mistaken, there, just immediately north of this project, there are basically three buildings. You have that little shopping plaza, you have Sound Advantage, and you have Watson's. Do any of those currently have any excess parking?
Yeah, just Watson, he had one, so he could give that, so the Sound Advantage doesn't have extra, and Kim Carpenter certainly won't let anybody park in that strip center because he has his own parking problems, so, and that's why he didn't approach himself.
Okay.
Again, the solve is divide this building up on the first floor, do office, and it's over. We're not telling him he can't, or don't build the building. So, it's not our fault that he built a building that needs more parking than he can get, and I don't disagree. You don't want to push it to the neighborhood. You don't want anybody parking across the street, the dentist either, unless they walk to the light and cross. It's not safe. So this is farther from the light, so I don't think you're being unreasonable by saying we're not going to grant this one space, but you could put part office on the first floor and solve it, and maybe that's an easier use for them. That's just my opinion.
I have a question, probably for Jeremy. So there's two single apartments upstairs, and there's 2 spots each for them, or one spot each?
One spot each.
So then I just can't help but think about company, they're gonna have company. Or maybe have, it's only one person living up there, so it's 1 bedroom, so it might be a couple that have 2 cars.
Well,
I just wanted to confirm how much parking for the residential.
yeah, that's accurate. The theory behind asking for the waiver is if it's office, you wouldn't need it. But if it's retail, most retail shops close down when you get home from work, and then they open up when you're leaving for work. That has gotten a little bit more muddy post-pandemic with more people working from home. It's a lot more common, so it doesn't hold as much weight, but there's still a lot of people that need to go into the office every day. So that's just how much you give weight to that type of theory, which has historically, prior to the last 6 years, been a pretty accurate theory.
I'll just add to that, trends are trending back towards accepting that as standard practice. Not that it really has to dictate your decision, but that is kind of standard practice again, now that we're seeing trends back towards office work.
For the office, yeah.
We have a couple of people in the audience that would like, go ahead.
More of a procedural question. If, let's say he was going after the office use now and he'd be over one space, he builds the building, but along the way finds a retail tenant that is a great use, and their parking need realistically is a lot less than what typical retail would be. by the ordinance. Could he come back in front of us for,
You'd have to go to the zoning board of appeals. Zoning board of appeals, and you can't make a hardship based on, I think, not that many people are coming to my retail, they'll never grant that. So he's gonna be pretty locked in. Zoning board is extremely, conservative now about, you have to have it, you can't self-create your own hardship, and that, people say that about retail. What if he gets a coffee shop there? We need 30 parking spaces. It seems like retail, I don't understand retail, we've had this discussion with them from day one. It seems like, I don't know how you get retail, knowing that Kim Carpenter's center, he will tow you if you go in his spot, his tenants need the spaces, so it doesn't seem like a great spot for retail to me, without adequate parking.
is Lombardo technically considered retail?
No,
They're
he's
not.
technology, he's office, and
Office,
he only
yeah.
uses, to be honest with you, he uses 2 spaces. He has more than probably 5 extra spaces on a daily basis. All of his employees
Yeah.
don't work there,
Yeah.
but by ordinance, he only has 2 extra. So
Yeah.
practically, the first 5, the visitors could park there, because he goes home at 5 o'clock, but again, we're stuck with rules that we don't want to bend too far.
Right.
And we
I
don't want to
think-
put you guys in that spot.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like the best spot to me for retail. It's a little bit too far off the corner. You have some on the first floor of, well, whether it's office or retail on the first floor of the newer condo building at the corner, and then the strip center behind it. I'm not sure that retail this far down into what is really a residential road is the right fit anyway. I am glad, though, that I think office is a really good fit for this, so I am glad that if he wants to, he can pursue office at this space and still be in compliant with the parking requirements. I think that's a much better use, my opinion, a much better use for that first floor space.
Mr. Acapelli?
My name is Joe Acapelli, 38329 Dodge Park Road, Sterling Heights. We got to remember one thing, that building was awful, dilapidated, it's a difficult site, the angles of the property, I did the best I could to make that space work. If I try to lower the square footage, you're gonna have nothing left to rent. Now, I'm also I'm letting all the other people, all the other commercial buildings use my access. They cut through there to get to Romeo. I could easily cut that off. You know, I could easily shut that off. That's gonna be detrimental to them. Now, Mr. Lombardo, not Mr. Lombardo, but Mr. LaPuma was gracious enough to give me, because when I initially went to the city to find out, I was told that I need to get a letter to someone within 200 feet of the property. You remember that? And I did that. I went to Mr. LaPuma. He said, I have no problem giving you 1 parking space, as long as you allow me to use your easement to cut through. I said, perfectly fine. That's great for both of us. Got the letter, signed, gave it to the city. We come to the meeting, and then they say they need some kind of an easement, and he's not willing to do that. And I can understand that. If he were to redevelop, he thinks that someday he could possibly acquire the properties next door, he could redevelop, but realistically, he's not gonna build the building all the way to the property line anyways. So there's always gonna be parking there, but he's not willing to give you the easement. The easement on the 1 parking space. Secondly, we have 3 parking spaces in the back for the tenants above, 1 for each, and then a guest parking. Those who have signs on there that no one can park there, okay? The additional parking, we have plenty. Mr. Lombardo has even more than what he gave me. I don't see a problem here. I see a beautiful building, coming into Rochester from Romeo. And I'm hoping you can agree with me on that and help me with the 1 parking space waiver. Okay? Thank you.
Commissioners, any other?
So, does this
Oh,
go?
I'm sorry.
Just procedure question.
I have actually a substantive question. Maybe, and Mr. Kenziker, maybe this is through Jeremy or Nick or even Lori. If the applicant was to change his, pardon me, I'm sorry, to office, what's the process that he would have to go through? Could he do it just now and say, okay, I'm going to do it?
Change the plan, we're ready to when Randy reviews the plans, he would see his office, there's an office calculation on the plan, and he gets a building permit. So it wouldn't, that's necessarily, it doesn't change the building or what the plan, what you approved is the site plan, not the uses inside, so.
Right. And I appreciate everything that the applicant said and all the dialogue here. Here's the challenge, at least from my perspective, I get it, it's one space, there's a handshake deal, and I don't think this is ever gonna be an issue. I really, truly don't. But the problem is, every project before this, assistance league, all those other things, I remember we mandated that they had to have a recorded easement, a parking agreement, because I saw it with my own eyes. And I remember they were adamant about, hey, if we have to do this, we want to make sure everyone else has to do it. And that's the part I struggle with, is that I don't want to get into a situation, whether it's this project or projects later on the agenda or months from now, that we've got to say, hey, well, you did it for this guy, can you do it for me? And that's, I think, the challenge I'm having, and I don't know, I don't want to speak on behalf of my colleagues, but it's a slippery slope. Once you say, all right, I'll let it go this time, well, now you've opened the door. And once you open that door, it's incredibly hard to close it, right? So I guess I would maybe ask the applicant, he doesn't have to decide right now, but maybe if he wants to go back and give some consideration to whether or not he thinks maybe office might be a better use of this building versus a retail spot. It's his building, he can certainly do with what he wants, and there's no question it's beautiful. There's no question it's absolutely 1,000% better than what was there, okay? But I'm getting the sense, based on kind of the comments here, that the applicant might have an uphill battle if this was to go to motion. So those are just my thoughts out loud, and I'll defer to my colleagues.
So I was just asking Lori, so the site plan approval was based on meeting the conditions. He hasn't met the conditions. If he doesn't, then the site plan's not valid. So if you don't vote no and tell him you can't do that, you have to go to office, then he can't get a building permit because he didn't meet the site plan requirements to make it a mixed-use building with retail in the first place, if that makes sense. So you should make a decision. He could, yeah, I mean.
You say we should make a decision, or he should make the decision?
You should make it.
Well,
We
so
should make it.
you can make the motion to approve it conditionally on the switch to office so that he has a valid site plan and can move forward instead of having to start over again,
Okay,
essentially.
so we could say we want it subject to it being office, then he can ultimately decide if he wants to proceed or not.
Yes, because he meets the standards otherwise.
That would prevent him from having to come back and do the whole
Yes.
thing over. Okay.
I have a question. Mr. Acapelli, how many square feet are in the lower level?
It's 1,600 square feet now. I believe it's 1,600 square feet now.
Okay.
And I honestly, I really don't want to take the chance on office. There's tons of office, vacancies all over. I don't know about so much in Rochester, but a lot of the other cities, there's vacancies. And I don't want to invest $1 million into this project and not be able to get a tenant because of one parking space. You got to understand that. And it is a difficult piece. I mean, this is some difficult, I'm not just asking, this is like, if someone else comes along, has as difficult of a time as that I have on this project, I can understand, but most places, it's pretty rectangular, pretty square piece of property. That's not the case here.
Mayor?
I'll wait till he sees stuff. If he's still talking, I'll wait.
Yeah, I asked the question because I just had an idea, if you were to make the downstairs half office, half retail, that would probably make you in compliance, but with only 1,600 feet, that probably
This is
not
small.
feasible.
It's like nothing, 1,600. Mathematically, the amount of revenue I bring in a 1,600 square, I might take 50 years to pay the building off. It's not going to be a very good investment for anybody. But I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at it as aesthetics. I'm improving the area and how it's a long-term property for me to hold on to.
Mayor, you had another question?
Yeah, no, it was just another comment.
Go
I
ahead.
remember, I've been at this since December. I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money coming back here 4 times, not to mention architectural changing it 2 and 3 times. I really want to get this thing going. I want to get this thing built.
we have a motion?
Well, I mean, I might as well just say I'm not going to approve the extra spot. So how do we motion
Make a
that?
motion to conditionally approve the site plan based on office use and based on meeting the required parking. Could be a little bit of office, a little bit of retail. We're not telling them it can't be retail. It just can't all be retail. You pick up 3 spaces, so. You would, in this case, I believe, you would deny the applicant's request of a waiver of 1 parking spot, which now leaves it, and they fulfill the conditions of the site plan by meeting the required parking for the site, whatever that is. He could mix them, and still, he could have a little retail and a little office. So,
Just have, are those,
there's a lot.
are those the only 2 options he has?
Or make the whole building smaller.
So that, I mean, Nick's proposal of a motion that just says that he meets the parking requirement is gonna leave us the most flexibility to kind of follow up with him and figure out what the best option is for everybody, just to.
And just for your benefit, I can't see anybody wanting to do retail up there. I could see a lot of people wanting office up there. We get asked for little offices, way more than we get retail off Main Street. We still have some vacancies on Main Street, so I don't know what kind of tenant would go there, you know? You never said a tenant. I don't know who would go there, a lamp shop? I don't know, so.
Yeah, we going, so.
We know how that turned out.
Well, so can I say something? Just, we recognize that you've made that much nicer than it was, although I did get my lamps repaired there, so I am missing a place to get my lamps repaired. But, so I don't think, to me, that's not relevant to the discussion. It is a beautiful building, and even the fact that you're letting people use that as pass-through is also, to me, not relevant to the discussion. Like, we have our parking guidelines, and when you built your building, you knew what the parking guidelines were. I build on Commissioner Hauser's comments about this precedent. You know, we have so much coming in front of us for parking all the time, and I just feel like those are the rules. You're actually even getting some more by the agreement you have, so you actually needed 3, and you built the building that size, and you were gonna need 3, but you did, I think that's great, you're able to get 2, but I'm really struggling. So I would not vote for allowing the extra spot.
Let me ask you this, what changed from the last meeting to this meeting? You
I
all
don't-
approved it last, in the
No.
previous, yeah.
So,
The
just to be
condition.
clear, the approval at the last meeting was to move you to public hearing where you would
But now-
actually potentially
Okay.
get approval of the actual content. So
Apologize.
that's the 2-stage
I'm a little
process.
frustrated, but okay.
I bet you are frustrated. I mean, I understand that. Do we make a motion now?
Well, if the,
Oh, I'm sorry, please go ahead, you guys, I'll finish.
I just have one question. Does the motion need to deny the parking waiver?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to make one comment, if I may. The thing that strikes me in this is that it's been stated that Lombardo's business has extra spots, but because of the ordinance, he cannot give up more than 2. I understand, you know, mathematically, that just doesn't seem to make sense. You know, we've got extra, but the ordinance is so rigid that he's not allowed to take advantage of that.
But I would say that if another tenant buys him out and has a standard office in there, they would not be able to use their whole office building because they had given away an extra space. They'd have to knock out 300 square feet, to be fair to that.
You
Does that
said
make sense?
300 square feet?
So for every 300 square feet, he would have you 1 parking spot. So he would not be able to operate his whole building. If he gave them officially with an easement permanently here, then he would lose his ability to use his building.
So-
He's at the right amount of square feet with the 2 given.
Yeah, to maybe take a step back from what Nick is explaining, he's allowed to give away what he is in excess of to meet his site plan requirements. And so that's why it's only the 1 space, because we can't set up a situation that, we view it as a use, we don't view it as a current tenant or current owner. So you can't take away their ability to still meet the site plan requirements, you can only give away what you have in excess. So if, for example, if this were to switch to office and then you had an excess of parking, that excess could be given away, but only the excess.
Okay.
One last comment. Do we know if we were, and I'm just throwing this out there, if the lower level was to be split between office and retail, how many square footage would have to be converted to office to make it compliant.
Also, you need one space, so 300 square feet.
So if he's got 1,600 feet on the first floor, if he made retail 1,300 square feet
Check, let's see.
and office 300 square feet,
1,400, wouldn't it be?
it'd be compliant?
1,400.
6.5, and then you'd need one for 300, so it might be 400, yeah, 400 feet at the most. It's a rounding up here, so, but most 400 feet.
Okay, so retail would have to be 1,200.
Right.
Office would have to be 400.
Downtown's retail, all is anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200, 1,500 at the most.
That would probably work, right? I could
Yeah.
still get, yeah.
So you could still get a
I'd be in
retail.
agreements with that, yeah.
Okay,
So-
I'm getting
I
so
think-
confused right now.
Okay.
We're changing his site plan.
So you're not
No,
changing his
no.
site plan, and that's why the suggested motion is to approve the site plan as long as conditional on the ability to meet the parking requirement on the site, which will allow us to work with him on the exact use, because both of these uses are permitted by right. So the use doesn't need to come in front of you. So that's why it'll allow him to say between 300 and 400 feet of his first floor can be used as office, reducing his overall parking requirement, and still kind of have the mix that will meet his desire for the site. And your motion only has to say that he works with us to meet that parking demand without needing a waiver. You can officially deny the waiver if you so choose.
Okay, I'm getting ready to do a motion.
I don't know if we need to even deny the waiver because it's a moot point, correct?
But he hasn't met the site plan.
But he hasn't met the site plan based on the condition, okay.
So we don't talk about the waiver
No,
of
we'll
this
deny.
parking, we're going to.
It would be better to officially deny the waiver just because he has requested it and you are sort of adamantly opposed, so it's a good kind of establishment of that.
Okay.
Right.
Boy, who can say all these? I'm not sure, I might need your guidance, but I am gonna make a motion. So first off, we're denying the request for the extra parking spot,
The parking waiver.
the parking waiver, I'm
For one
sorry,
space.
for the parking waiver for one space. But we are approving the site plan conditionally.
Conditionally that on his ability to meet parking on site.
Okay,
Yeah, and retail could be different. It could be a beauty salon. It could be, so you don't want to just say retail because that's a flat number. There's other retailers that don't need a flat number.
Okay.
1 to 300, it could be stations, so,
so is that okay?
well, the way Lori's saying,
My
it,
okay,
Parking on site.
need parking on
so
site.
that's the motion.
Okay.
We just need a,
Support.
we got to support.
All right, if I can
Just-
repeat this.
Okay.
The motion is to approve the site plan conditionally and so that we can meet the parking requirements, and we are officially denying the current request for a waiver.
Correct.
One space.
One space.
All right. Roll call, please.
Benjuk,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes,
Boatich,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. The next item on the agenda is site plan review for 530 Pine Street. I see the applicant is in the audience. Ms. Morgan, would you give us an update, please?
Yes, so as a reminder, this is a request for parking, essentially a parking monitoring system at 530 Pine Street. Because this is a revision to their parking, we have reviewed it as a site plan. There were updated plans since the last review that do indicate that the loss of parking noted in the previous review is not a concern. However, there was a review provided by the fire department that does express concerns about the access to the site. While the proposed plan does not propose a change to the current access and circulation on site, the island and bollards currently present at North Main Street entrance were installed without approval from the city. As part of the review process, this point of ingress was reviewed by the City of Rochester Fire Department for compliance with all relevant codes. Details of this review can be found in the attached letter. Maintenance of public safety and compliance with any official maintenance and compliance with any official protecting public safety supersedes all other standards of the zoning ordinance, and this is from section 405 part C of the zoning ordinance, therefore requiring that all requirements from the fire department be met. This is our main concern and the main condition we would place on approval. A couple of other notes would be we did express some concerns about lighting in the last review letter. After speaking with the parking provider, we are not concerned with any light trespass. And we have resolved the height concern with the updated plans noting that the poles would be 10 feet, which is in compliance with the district. So again, our primary concern is that, we frequently forget that zoning is put in place largely for public safety. And as such, the ordinance does note that. So we do require that all of the requirements as listed, which I won't read out, but as listed in the fire department's review letter are met before anything is granted.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, questions?
I have a question.
Go
So
ahead.
I think at the last meeting, the to-do afterward was, there was conversation about maybe the fire department didn't even want to use the North Main Street for access because of weight issues. I see the review in here that they are requesting the removal of that, so they have determined that they are okay using that entrance?
I don't think for the fire ladder truck, it's for the ambulances and their smaller
Ambulances, okay,
equipment.
okay.
It's
sure.
hard to get that.
Any other questions? Mayor? No,
I'm
okay.
sorry, no.
I actually have two. Under the review, under dimensional standards, it talks about the poles being 10 feet, but in the minutes, it stated they were 12 to 16 feet as the manufacturer stated. Go ahead, sir. Name?
James Elia with Metropolis Parking. Yeah, our standard ones are 12 to 16, but we have no issues with putting a 10-foot one in. And according to the site plan that we designed here, it's a 10-foot pole.
Okay.
The updated plan does say 10 feet.
Okay. And then another question, under the recommendation, the fourth bullet point, I'm a little confused. What entrance does that refer to?
The only entrance that they're discussing here is the entrance off of Main Street, Rochester Road, Main Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're just referring to that.
All right, thank you.
above there.
All right, then, if there's no other questions from the commissioners, it is now 8:02, and I will open this for public comment. Or, I'm sorry, not public comment. The applicant, you have an opportunity to speak.
Good evening. I am Professor Pierre Atala, and coming here to discuss the issues that we have. Now, we did everything as we were asked for last time, but this time things have changed, and we have a team here that will respond to your concerns. And I'm going to start with my son, cardiologist Pierre Atala, and he will discuss the issues that we concerned.
Hi, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here before you all. I'm Dr. Pierre Atala from 543 North Main Street, and Jeremy's just pulling up some pictures I wanted to share with you all, so hopefully we can get some clarity on the fire department's request. Thank you so much. Okay, so what is the current situation? As we've already discussed, the review document from July 29th states that there is a recommendation from McKenna that site plan approval be granted. However, this is completely contingent on compliance with fire department requirements. At the last planning commission meeting, we discussed this. This was a topic that came up. We discussed it at length. There were considerations regarding if we could get trucks onto that parking deck, and we had alluded to the fact that the former chief, John, made it clear that no emergency vehicles should really be stationed on that parking deck or access from Main Street be granted. Nick did reaffirm this for us at that meeting, and he did us the honor of stating that he would get a letter from the fire chief documenting that parking islands were not an issue. We did, in fact, get a letter
but it was not what we expected. Chief Scott argued that the 543 parking islands and the bollards were actually an impediment to entry. So what is the barrier to approval tonight? Well, the barrier to approval is the current recommendation of the fire chief. This is in fact a completely new issue, one that was essentially a non-issue the last time we discussed this. However, it's one that I'd like to discuss this evening in good faith. So the memo that was alluded to in McKenna's review is dated July 24th, and that memo states that the parking islands represent an unacceptable impediment to emergency vehicle access and must be modified. However, I'd like to point out that there are three major problems with the memo. Number one, it does not acknowledge the existing fire access roads that are in place. Number two, it wrongly refers to north and south access points that are in fact west and east. And it does not address at all the parking deck concerns previously identified by Chief John and acknowledged by the Planning Commission and the City Manager the last time we met here. Emergency vehicles have been shown on the site plan. That was one of McKenna's original requests when he came before you. So they were labeled clearly on the site plan. And where did those come from? Well, the emergency access routes were developed with and at the instruction of the Rochester Fire Department. Currently, those access points meet International Fire Code Section 503.1 as a fire access road. Emergency vehicle access to 543 North Main is clear and obvious. And a reasonable person would not accept that there is an impediment to access. So let's take a look and see what that actually means. So this is a site plan that you've all seen before. It's a little difficult to appreciate, but those red lines are the access points, and this has been reviewed. But let's look at it in real time. So this is the entrance to 543 from the Pine entrance. Actually, it's a beautiful view you see from the city offices here. There is no impediment to emergency vehicles or any fire truck or fire apparatus whatsoever, as can clearly be seen. As we walk through the parking lot, again, wide open, massive spaces. These are some of the widest roads in Rochester and the largest parking lot by any means. There is no impediment here to any fire truck, any EMS. You simply cannot make that argument. Once you approach the parking deck, and we'll get to why they should not approach the parking deck, but if you do take that risk, this is access to the building. Clear, open, obvious, no impediment. Now, the fire department set forth three conditions, actually four. Condition number one was that there's a narrow entrance at Main Street, and that's fine. Main Street is not the entrance. This is a complex with easy access. Issue number two here is that existing structures in downtown Rochester currently have access points that are identical. There is a precedent for this. In fact, ours is wider and doesn't have any barriers. The fire department also states that condition two is there's a congestion of traffic, and we agree. That's why it's important to bypass Main Street in an emergency. This is not why you would access from it. It's not logical to turn right onto a congested Main Street and then turn left into 543. That's counterintuitive. You can directly access from Pine, which is already our existing designated fire access road that was determined by the Rochester Fire Department. Condition number three is a time delay. That's a fair point. However, the greatest time delay would obviously occur if you're entering from Main Street. This is due to traffic signals, heavy pedestrian activity. This is the most congested area in downtown. The existing fire access road bypasses all of these concerns. By taking 3rd Street to Pine and entering the complex directly, this is the most efficient and timely route. And the final contention that the fire department memo states is that there needs to be access for aerial apparatus. Well, here's the access. It's wide open. Nothing would ever get in the way of any apparatus. So why now? Why does Chief Scott have these concerns? We've provided a detailed flow of traffic that included emergency vehicles on several occasions. This was never an issue before. There are existing fire access roads designed in conjunction with the Rochester Fire Department. Prior to Planning Commission intervention, the Rochester Fire Department never raised concerns despite being on the property many times. And in fact, EMS and the fire department have been to the Rochester Medical Center regularly, responding to patient emergencies, often at my request, since the 90s. They have never entered from Main Street. The fastest, safest, and most efficient access points are from Pine. But the bigger issue is this. Chief John was correct. He warned that trucks should not be on a parking deck. The city manager stated on the record that trucks should not be on the deck. Chief Scott is alone in his analysis that parking trucks need to access the deck. Is he correct? Well, articles from major industry journals explicitly instruct firefighters against driving heavy apparatus onto elevated parking decks. This is due to structural risks during a fire. There is an immediate and severe risk of shear failure and progressive structural collapse. This is not theoretical, this is real. This was Chicago, Illinois, also at a healthcare facility in August of 2019. When you attempt to move heavy equipment onto parking decks during a fire, problems will happen, problems that actually jeopardize public safety. That's a fact. Standard operation states that the weight of a full water tank on a fire engine introduces extreme, heavy concentrated point loads that car deck concrete is completely unequipped to distribute during a fire. In the definitive operational guide, Concrete Parking Decks, Constructions and Hazards, fire service experts detail that parking structures are highly susceptible to compromise. Forcing a fire truck's immense weight onto these vulnerable spaces is a significant risk for triggering progressive building collapse. All the tactical literature states that the standard operating procedure is that fire departments should be trained to park their apparatus clear of the structure and manually stretch supply hose lines instead, as Chief John previously suggested. So where do we stand today? What is the current situation this evening? Industry experts, industry literature, and standard operating procedures, as well as the International Fire Code that is referenced in the memo, dictate that Chief John was correct. The former fire chief and the city manager have acknowledged on the record that fire trucks should not be on the deck during a fire. The current chief thinks that they should. However, this appears to be contrary to standard operating procedures. At the end of the memo, he was kind enough to ask us to discuss it, and we've reached out many times without a response. The fastest route in an emergency is the Pine entrance. That's really not up for debate. There are existing fire access roads and no IFC requirements for more. The memo completely disregards the fact that there are existing fire access roads, but yet it attempts to create a new one that is not appropriate. Using Main Street actually increases risk needlessly and violates accepted standards and IFC recommendations. The current parking islands on Main meet all appropriate setbacks. This has been acknowledged. We have no intention of removing the parking islands and bollards from 543 North Main. They are necessary for our parking system. They secure the parking structure from large truck damage, which is real and present. We deal with that every day. And they guide the flow of traffic safely and appropriately through our complex. We have been very cooperative. We are fully compliant with Planning Commission requests. At this point, we meet the zoning, city, and Planning Commission requirements. We've passed review by McKenna several times at this point. The memo alludes to the Fire Code, the Michigan Fire Prevention Code, and the International Fire Code. And after reviewing it in great detail, and as I've shown you this evening, we are in full compliance. We have fire access roads. They exist. Creating new ones are not necessary, and there's really no precedent or need to do that according to any of these codes. Thank you. I'm going to defer to our attorney. He'll speak with you a little further.
Before that, excuse me,
Hi, this is Martin from CBI Design Professionals, the architect for Dr. Atala. If you can please, oh, I have it. I'm just gonna go over the site plan. The Explorer?
Yeah, the Explorer.
Yes, thank you. So, just gonna go over the site plan, which is very similar to last time, but we updated some things to is this the recent one?
Might be further down.
Got it. Oh.
That was the site plan I had. There was another one that you guys provided that had stars on it, was showing. Sorry, that's one.
Correct, but this one is not showing.
The one that was submitted with everything else.
Okay, I apologize. You have it? Okay. I have another copy, physical copy. We just added some extra notes for clarification in response to old comments by McKenna.
I would just say that I did take note of all of those notes and it met, you know,
Yeah.
the standard, like you're, based on the previous comments that were made, you fulfilled those questions. And the only thing I question now really is complying with the planning commission's request for the public safety information.
So to kind of, springboard off of that, there is an existing sign here expressing, prohibiting trucks, exactly for the reasons Dr. Atala mentioned, for the parking lot, the parking deck underneath, just not the safest to accommodate trucks. Therefore, fire trucks would not be the exception to that. That is all. Thank you.
Excuse me. For everyone's benefit, can you point to where the parking deck is?
It's like a square.
Yes.
Actually, it's the whole building, right? But it's,
I can send you guys that. I have an electronic version of the current.
I don't have the ability to pull.
I was just gonna send it to you now.
I don't have the ability to pull. It has to be submitted prior to the meeting.
I don't know if everyone truly knows what it is.
The entrance
To what extent
to
it's
the-
I'm sorry?
is green.
That's right, ask a question first.
I guess,
So,
but maybe more,
You can see it right there at the corner. Here you go, right there. So the red is, again, we have notifications on that this is where the trucks and the ambulances can go. So we have two places where we can do that. And I'm gonna show you, also from my slides, that I looked at the chief memo, and my dear chief, the new chief, calls 543 North Main that it is a south entrance. He doesn't compare it with east, and he takes it to go to Pine, and he calls Pine north. I feel sorry for him. I don't know how he stands, where we stand. And then I called him. He said in his memo, if you have any issues, please call. I called, put a voicemail twice. No results. Okay. He did not return the call. And he's talking about jargon here that Lori did not discuss, because he wants to come from Main Street to the building. Well, you saw what my son showed you. But this was, we put that island there so we stopped the trucks from coming in there. Because we have already two entrances that are very large from University and from Pine. He doesn't have to go. And I'm gonna show you the next picture, if you can help me, Jeremy. How do I go? Open this, okay. I am gonna open this one. Well, I took that from my computer, and you can see that the fire department is here. They have an option, no, maybe, here we go, sorry. It's right there. So they have the option to go through 3rd Street and go to Main, 2 blocks, pass the lights, and come in from the 543 North Main entrance. Well, in that, stopped us from putting gates. They wanted the gates next to the garage for 15 cars to queue there. Well, you know, when you're coming from Maine and you have your siren going, these people here that are always in queue because of the light, how, there are 2 lanes in here. How are you gonna pass them to enter from there as a fire department? And not only that, it's gonna take you a lot more time. The way to do it is to go through Water Street. It's always pretty empty. And then go to University, which is also more busy, but not like Maine. And go enter either from University or turn and enter to Pine. An intelligent person that understands fire and timing wouldn't go from there. And all that nonsense that is being talked about here about that 543 North Main entrance is for security and does not need trucks to go there. And actually, if they really wanted to go inside, the west part of our building, it's totally open. You said it on the slides that my son showed. So instead of going from Maine, he can come from University and make a ride, and he will be there. So all that, and you know, I'm reading also, now my attorney needs to come in because there are a lot of legal issues here, so I'll leave it to him right now. Thank you.
Great. Good evening, Council. My name is Travis Bronick. I'm an attorney for Adco Development Company. I'm here this evening to highlight 8 critical defects in the fire department's memorandum that need to be raised. The first is the memorandum itself is unsigned and it's undated. Review the signature block. Both the signature line and the date are blank. Michigan code requires signed, dated notices for enforcement. An unsigned request cannot be the basis for an approval condition. I'd like to make the record that on July 24th, Fire Chief request lacks both signature and date. Before the Planning Commission conditions approval on this request, the Commission should require a formally signed request from the Fire Chief. There's selective enforcement. The bollards that we're talking about that are in place have been in place for nearly 12 months. It wasn't until July 24th of this year that we received any reply, any response, any objection from the fire department or anyone. The legal implication is if the bollards created an emergency access problem, that the fire department should have raised it immediately. A nearly 12-month silence suggests the issue was not material or previously was accepted. I want to place on the record that the bollards have been in place for nearly 12 months without fire department objection, citation, or notice. The silence filed by sudden request is selective enforcement. If this were a legitimate safety issue, it should have been raised when the bollards were installed. There's contradictions within the city documents themselves. The first contradiction, the city planner's reversal. Same planner issued contradictory opinions 28 days apart. At the last hearing, there was several issues that were noted. Access and circulation will not be changed. Ingress and egress will not be impacted. No emergency access concerns. And now McKenna demands board removal as an approval of the condition. What changed? Nothing physical. Only the fire chief's memo issued on July 24th that's unsigned and undated. I want to place on the record again that the planner's reversal from July 1st clearance to July 29 demand. The site did not change, only the fire chief's memo was issued. The inconsistency undermines the validity of making this an approval condition. There's no technical evidence. The memo request makes conclusory assertions without measurement or technical data. What the memorandum asserts. It asserts that the bollard's narrow entrance width, the widths below the requirement of the IFC 503.2.1 standard of 20 feet. What the memorandum does not provide. The current measured entrance width, the reduction caused by the bollards, the comparison to the 20-foot requirement, field photographs or measurements. I want to place on the record the fire chief's request provides 0 measurements. Before the commission conditions approval on removal, the fire department must provide documented field measurements of Pine, University, and Main showing width and how bollards reduce that width compared to the 20-foot IFC requirement. The 2 other functioning access routes that we discussed here at both University and Main satisfies the code. The property has 2 confirmed functioning apparatus access routes. Eliminating Main leaves 2 routes. The IFC requirement states, fire apparatus access roads shall be provided for every facility. The key word there is roads, plural, requires more than 1 route, and we have more than 1 route. Even if Main Street is eliminated, Pine and University provide 2 functioning apparatus access routes. 2 routes equals plural. What this means, the fire department is requesting removal of Main Street bollards, not because 2 routes are insufficient, but because they prefer these routes to 2. This is not a code requirement, this is a preference. I want to place on the record that the property has 2 confirmed functioning apparatus access routes, Pine Street and University Drive. Even if Main Street bollards are removed, those 2 routes remain. IFC 503.1 requires apparatus access routes. 2 routes satisfy the requirement. The fire department's request is not based on code deficiency, it's based on preference of 3 routes. There's no official fire lane designation. IFC 503.5 requires fire apparatus roads be officially designated no parking fire lane signs. Fire chief does not state whether Main Street has this designation. Legal implication is that Main Street is not officially designated, it may not be a required apparatus access road. The city cannot impose requirements on unofficially designated routes. I want to place on the record that the fire chief does not state whether Main Street is officially designated as a required apparatus access road per IFC 503.5. If it's not, Main Street may not be subject to IFC 503.2.1 with requirements. As my counterparts have already stated, the fire chief's refused engagement. The property owner attempted to contact the fire chief twice. The fire chief did not respond. He stated in his memo, we encourage conversation to occur prior to any further site construction. Memo claims the willingness to discuss, but yet the fire chief refuses conversation. I want to place on the record that the owner attempted to contact the fire chief twice following the July 24th request. Fire chief responded to neither attempt. The memorandum states we encourage conversation, yet the fire chief refused conversation. This is not good faith engagement. I want to discuss the prior fire chief approval and retaliation thereafter. Prior fire chief John approved the bollard installation. The new fire chief is reversing that approval. Prior involvement is confirmed from the property owner's July 8th email to the city manager, Nick Banda. Client says, husband was involved in tri-weekly contact with chief ordinance officer who was in continuous touch with the city and was told he did not need a permit. City manager's response, Chief John paid a price for that situation. What is not your problem directly by trying to help out. He does not work here anymore. We'll pause on that statement for a moment. Here's the timeline. Prior chief cooperative provided guidance. Prior chief sanctioned for helping. Prior chief removed from position. New chief took office approximately February 9th. New chief issued unsigned request July 24th. I want to place on the record the city manager Banda's admission, Chief John had paid a price for the situation. He does not work here anymore. The prior fire chief was sanctioned for assisting the property owner. The new fire chief, taking office February 9th, is now requesting removal of improvements that the prior fire chief approved. This is retaliation based on change in city leadership, not code compliance. Again, the unsigned request cannot condition approval. The fire department has issued an unsigned request, not a formal enforcement letter, no citation, no violation, no action to date. evidence here suggests that selective enforcement, procedural violations, contradictions within city documents, and an attempt to condition site plan approval on an unsigned, unjustified request. The property owner is committed to fire safety and complying with applicable codes, but his commitment must be based on proper procedure, accurate data, and fair process, not unsigned requests contradicted by the city's own documents. I thank the commission for the opportunity to place this on the record.
So I'm going to conclude here. I think we gave you a lot of evidence here, facts, that we're very careful. We are physicians. Life matters. We want, and like Dr. Atala told you, the ambulances are always there. When we need them, they come. That's boom. We go. We save lives. We would not put anything in jeopardy. And right now, I would like you to really approve what we're saying. It has been over a year and a half right now we're playing with these games, really. And we need the order for stopping the work to cease immediately. Thank you.
Mr. Banda?
Yeah, so first of all, your wife and your mother sent me the email. How you read that is Chief John paid a price. First, why did you assume that had something to do with the city and his job? Maybe that was his personal bodily functions that he does. So I take offense. It's my turn to talk. It's my, I wrote it, so I know what I meant. Okay, so you can't attribute, number one. Number two, you filed a discrimination suit against us, which you're inferring, and that was I just got the paper from the feds saying no ground, so thank you for that. So I don't know if you're proud of that or not, but we took that very personally. You think we would discriminate you because of your ethnicity, and it was proven by the federal government that we did, so thank you for that. Now, back to my commission. Number one, everything on his site is not approved, never approved, wrong facts again. It is illegal. Thank you for taking the little cone out and fixing that one spot on our property. I'll give you that. So nothing here has ever been legal. We aren't playing games. We didn't deliver. He came in with a new plan to put parking on. We said, fine, we had a nice meeting. Great. Chief John doesn't work here anymore. Fact. Chief John did say that he wouldn't take a truck there. Chief Scott's different. Chief Scott doesn't work for me professionally. He does what he needs to do. He's not running away from you. Maybe he was on vacation. Maybe you were as blindsided by this rhetoric as you were when you got the letter. So Jerry, did you hear anything from them the last 2 days? You just walk in here and trash all of us and our fire chief, and you act like that's okay, but we can't write you a letter. Just because you respond and give him 7 days, he's got a job to do. Chief John will be glad, or Chief Scott will be glad to sit down, have a discussion. I request that we table this item until all this is worked out. We're not going to ask Scott he's not wrong. Maybe he's right. Maybe with new facts that they're presenting, which was very compelling, he might change his mind, but they have to meet. So I would suggest don't take action on this tonight. Table it indefinitely until we get to the point where they can work it out. Because if he sticks to his guns, then you're going to go against your fire chief. It's got nothing to do with Chief John. His opinion was that he's not taking a fire truck in there. And maybe Chief Scott doesn't know enough about it, but you haven't got to meet, short time frame. That's my opinion. I would table this until we can get him here. We don't need, their words don't mean any more than his. But he's a reasonable man, obviously a very good presentation, very compelling arguments. We'll sit down and we'll talk. I'll mediate it, I don't care. But the attorney accusing all this stuff, it's really bad. And for you to act innocent, why there's a stop work order when you violated everything we did and at Chief John's expense, because he doesn't make decisions for fire departments. So I take massive offense to that, and that's my opinion, just like your attorney's opinion is his opinion.
Mayor?
I do have to agree with tabling it, and the reason why is as you were reading all those things about Chief Scott, I kept thinking he needed to be here.
Absolutely.
And so I think if Maybe we had been alerted that you were gonna stand up there and say all those things about him. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but he is not here to defend himself, and that seems entirely unfair, because my guess is he would have been here. And then we could have had a discussion with the person you're talking about being here. So I don't see how we can proceed without what his thoughts were on all of this.
Mayor?
I mean, obviously, what you have presented is you have a lot of great detail here, but we couldn't move forward without why he decided what he
I
decided.
called him twice.
I understand
He
you called
did
him
not
twice, but
respond.
that has nothing to do with
Okay.
us not knowing you were gonna present it like this tonight and not give him the opportunity to be here.
Well, that's not my fault. But if you wanna pass on it tonight, that's your choice. We have other choices. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments here?
Go ahead, and then I want to say something.
I'm struggling to understand the root of the issue here. I think we heard last time from the folks at Metropolis that this island doesn't need to be there for the system to work. So I'm really struggling to understand why this is the fight that we're having right now. Is it an issue of, do you have a quote to remove this island?
Yeah, it's a structural issue. So when these major trucks, because there's restaurants there, so you get huge deliveries every day. Big trucks are coming in. Actually, that new tenant, that juice store that just opened up, they're even instructing their trucks because they don't have appropriate, I don't know how they got approved with parking or however you guys dealt with them or if you dealt with them, but they have no place where people can make deliveries. So they park on our deck. So all that weight on a parking deck over and over again, that's what caused a lot of the damage that created the concerns in terms of the repairs and the issues that we've tried to address over the years. So the thought process is this: if we can just eliminate that heavy traffic on that parking deck, certainly over time that's not good. The building's 30 years old. Now we've had structural engineers, we have reassurances, they're looking at it. It's just an unnecessary risk when you're having because it's a daily occurrence, several times a day. There's 3 restaurants. So it's a challenge. So our thought process was, let's direct traffic, and the electrical conduits are in there, there's some IT infrastructure in there. I mean, they're serving some purpose, but big purpose for us is we're trying to protect some sort of catastrophe, right? I mean, there's a structural engineer, it's all approved, things look good, but at the same time, wear and tear is wear and tear.
Sure.
So the concept was, let's just try to protect it as best we can.
Sure, so there is a cost element to this, but that sounds like that's the minor argument. You're really suggesting that you don't want trucks to go that way. That's the issue that you're fighting for.
100%, absolutely.
Okay, and I think it's
Yeah.
maybe a little bit unclear too, because I had asked this, it's not clear by the fire chief's review, which is probably, to the mayor's point, it's probably good to have a conversation together, but am I correct in assuming that, or hearing that the fire department doesn't want to drive trucks across this, they want ambulance access through this area? Is that?
The memo specifies both. The memo specifies both. Yeah, they want trucks there as well. They say emergency vehicles, which includes EMS and fire trucks. Either way, they don't even address the routes from Pine. I mean, they're specifically saying they want access from Maine, which frankly doesn't make much sense. Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the IFC guidelines earlier that were brought up to say that, and you did a fantastic job bringing up all the IFC requirements, and the fire access routes that are currently indicated on the site plan do meet the standards of the IFC code. And in addition to that, IFC 503.2, and this is just an excerpt because the whole thing is long, but the underground deck roof slab is an elevated surface not designed to carry heavy emergency vehicle loads, and typically underground parking decks are not designed to carry those extremely heavy fire truck and emergency vehicle weight loads. They are really for light commercial vehicles. And so it actually allows a property owner to maintain and install barriers and signs to prevent heavy vehicles from driving onto an unrated structure. So this whole conversation went very far and into lots of things, but from the beginning, it looks like the site plan is pretty much approved minus the bollards on Main Street, and it's really about the emergency fire vehicle access. And what we really need to solidify is the fact that fire vehicles and emergency vehicles cannot drive on that parking deck without significant risk to the property owner or the fire vehicles themselves. So that shouldn't be a reason to require the bollards to be removed and for the site plan to be approved. That's it, thank you. And my colleague can speak more about the bollards and anything else. It is, he did want to say something about the safety of the ingress and egress of the parkers with the bollards, so.
Mayor, well, hold on.
I do have one quick question back to, so originally when they were put in, they weren't put in to keep trucks out. It was gonna become a paid parking lot. The silver lining now is it's keeping the trucks out, because you put all those in to make it a.
Well, no, I don't agree. I mean, there were many
I just want to
purposes for that.
clarify that
Yeah.
one point. It wasn't to keep out trucks, it was to
That's
start
not
charging.
correct, though.
Because those were put all over the place when you decided to charge for parking in there.
Years ago, then, if it was a problem.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's fine, to me, it's fine that that's the silver line, I think it's, you're right, it's gonna keep the trucks out. But that particular install was to start charging for parking.
No, the intent is to secure the parking lot. That's it.
Okay,
And that's our right to do,
of course, I
Yeah.
completely agree.
regardless of what you think the intent is or not.
And then, Commissioner, you mentioned about our equipment. I did say last month, we can't operate without it. But our preference is because it is existing and it is there, we would prefer to keep it just from a traffic directing standpoint and safety. It controls vehicles from flinging in and pulling into the ingress and egress lanes. It does create a more safe entrance, and that side of the street is pretty busy. So from an operating standpoint, we would prefer it remain, just due to safety issues of people flying in and out from a busy main road.
Okay. Mr. Hauser?
Sure. I just want to make a couple of things pretty clear for the record, is that we are here today, and that stop work order is in effect today because the property owner, who by the way left, installed these posts without coming to planning commission in advance and getting site plan approval.
Sure, but that was a decision that was made on faulty information.
I disagree.
Chief John does not have any authority, never did, to do site plan. Put him on a stand.
Okay.
He'll say, I would never say
Sure.
that. Why would he say that?
You'll get your wish.
All right.
Why would he say that, sir?
Setting the hearsay aside, setting the fact that Chief John doesn't work here anymore, the root cause of this was self-inflicted. The property owner installed these without site plan approval, and the stop work order was issued. And as you've heard us say time and time again, ask the cottage inn guy, ask the Main Street Billiards guy, ask the architect who was here earlier. If something is done without site plan approval, work is stopped, and it goes back to its original condition.
Christian, the
Part
only
stop.
thing I'm
But
going
not
off
done,
of
sir.
tonight
Doctor,
is
doctor,
the issue we're
doctor,
discussing is the fire access.
I'm
We're
not done talking. When I'm done.
Allow him to speak, please.
When I'm done, you may respond.
Okay.
We are asking nothing more from the property owner in this instance than we have with any other property owner, period. Those bollards should not be there today. They should have been removed. Your property owner, your father, over here on Pine, was sitting on our city property for months. He never did anything. So
These issues are not addressed in the McKenna letter. That's not what we're here to
I
discuss
get
this
it,
evening.
but I'm setting the record clear.
Oh, fair enough.
Fair enough,
We can
that
each
we
have
are
our
here
opinion, that's okay.
because your father.
We're not here because of that. We're here because we're asked to provide fire and emergency
Okay.
access to 543. Look at the agenda. Look at the document from McKenna.
I have.
It has nothing to do with what you're discussing. You're bringing up separate issues.
I'm not going to quarrel with you up here. All I'm telling you is that
I
this
understand your
was
position.
preventable because you went ahead and did something without planning commission approval. That's it.
Well, the only thing planning commission needed to approve this evening was the fire issue. That's according to the memo that we reviewed.
It's not.
Of course it is. Look at the memo from McKenna. Did you read it?
I've read it a couple
That's the
times, I
one
promise.
issue. They recommend
All right,
approval,
all right.
except we need to look at the fire access route. That's all.
I've made my
Excuse me, can we
Of
take
course.
it down a notch, please?
Of course.
I'm all set, thank you.
All right. Any other commissioners that have questions, comments? All right. I have one, and I'll tell you up front, I'm not an expert in fire code. I know very little about fire code. And You have a compelling argument. It seems to be very persuasive. But I don't know if it's accurate or not.
Sure.
I agree with the issue that, or with the suggestion that we should table this. Because from my perspective, we have to rely not just on what has been stated here, but what the current fire chief has to say. He is our resident expert.
Why wasn't he asked to be here this evening?
I don't
might
know.
ask? But there was a memo. The memo, the whole issue was regarding the fire
All right,
department.
at this point, excuse me, at this
Maybe
point,
your counsel seems to think that he should have been.
at this point, that's water under the bridge. We can't go back in time and start all over again. But we do need to get all parties together to talk. All right, and I would strongly suggest that this happens before we get together again and come to some kind of agreement between the city administration, the fire chief, yourself, your representatives, and figure out a plan of action as to how we go forward. Because coming back and forth with allegations and arguments is getting us nowhere. So my suggestion is table this today, have a meeting with all parties that have an interest, and work it out.
Excellent, appreciate it.
We have to motion to,
I did want to make one more statement, sorry. You know, we're now entering August. The summer is the busiest time for parking, and of course, us being a parking company, we look forward to driving revenue and profitability for everybody. We have an alternative product that if the decision's made not to lift the work order, that we have a product that just requires signage on. We have like these rolling stands that we put out. It's not any sort of infrastructure change or anything like that. If the decision is made to table it, at a minimum, we would ask the commission to consider allowing us to go with that option. It doesn't run any electrical, it doesn't do any sort of structural anything. It's literally just like a stand that we roll out and people scan the QR code and can pay. I feel so guilty looking out and seeing the entire parking lot full, and due to some procedural issues that Dr. Atala had, it's a deterrent from people being able to park there. Like people are thinking to themselves, am I breaking the law? Am I gonna get towed? They're sneaking around to get around the parking. So just for us, in order to bring some sort of order and stuff like that and continue, if the stop work order is not lifted, we'd like to at least proceed with our scan to park option, which doesn't do any sort of structural changes to the lot.
So I would throw up my opinion. I was there for dinner at Paint Creek Tavern. There was 8 cars in the parking lot, so you're wrong. Our season is not summer, our season is winter.
Sir, if you go outside right now, that lot was full. I drove by.
During the day.
Sir, with all due respect, I did a car count. I do this for a living. The entire lot was full.
You can't stop work order. You can't do any more work until this body lifts it. And
Yeah.
we're not lifting it.
And we're being very nice, asking for it. There's no structural change, there's no installation, there's no anything. And I understand, like, you're very upset. I get that.
I'm not upset. I'm just telling you, we don't get work out. You can't come here and expect the staff to make a determination.
Sir,
on your work.
as an outsider, you're very upset. I almost lost it sitting there.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I'm just trying to do my job, sir.
I asked to take it down a notch. We could end this right now if you want.
I mean, I just don't see how that's acceptable. Like, we've been very,
I've asked you to stop.
friendly.
Excuse me, I've asked you to stop. We came to a resolution, we came to a suggestion, now you want to push it. You want to sell product, I understand that, but that's not our concern, okay? Let's move forward. Somebody make a motion, and then we'll close this issue.
I'll make a motion to table indefinitely till they meet with city administration.
Second.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
yes.
Miletich,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on. Consideration A. For 118 West 3rd Street Special Project and Site Plan Review and a request to set a public hearing.
Yes, so I will preface this by saying this is a unique implementation of the special projects application as was adopted by the 2022 master plan, and I realize that we're all familiar with that at this point. The applicant was very patient in working with us and determining the best way to make sure we were consistently deviating from other standards within the ordinance. And so that's why we've deemed it a special project, is that because it is within the central business district, which would implement some specific design standards, the fact that an adaptive reuse is not actually defined by the ordinance, we have requested them to go through the special project process. At its core, it is an adaptive reuse, which I realize has been referenced in previous applications, but as I mentioned, there aren't any standards in the ordinance itself. The existing building is a 3-story craftsman-style house that most recently operated for several decades as a tea house before closing. The proposed reuse includes office space on the ground floor and a 2-bedroom residential apartment comprising the upper floors. This upper apartment would be allowed as a special land use in the district. So the main deviation that we are looking at are sort of design standards from what would be required in the district with the change of use and the redevelopment of more than 50% of the floor area. So beyond that consistency with the master plan as stated in the project narrative provided by the applicant, it advances several of the master plan's central themes. I would also note that while not adopted yet, we do have a pending zoning amendment that would transition this area to a transition zone where this would be exactly the use that you're looking for. So instead of having them wait, we have again just asked for a special project instead of waiting for that amendment to hopefully be adopted in the future, but it has been proposed for something that is consistent with what they're talking about. This would be, if it was not a special project, this would be a special land use to allow for those upper story apartments in the central business district, but they do comply with all of those standards. The intent of the project is to maintain the existing building and preserve the character and facade. Parking requirements are met and actually exceeded with 10 parking spaces and 1 labeled barrier-free space. We do ask for some additional details about access and circulation, and we'll also note that the applicant has already made strives to provide us with additional information, not presented this evening. It would be shown to you at the next meeting, but we have coordinated based on this letter. The landscape, the applicant intends to maintain the existing green space. Utilities are provided. Again, we've clarified the lighting plans for the area, so there's already been efforts made at that concern. And impact would really be minimal and appropriate for the area. So again, this request is really mostly just to make sure that we're kind of procedurally on the up and up when deviating from any of the other standards of the ordinance. Otherwise, this is, taking my neutral consultant hat off. This is a great project.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
Yes, I'd like to recuse myself as my business is associated with this.
So what I'll do is I'll make a motion to recuse Jenna Campbell from this particular matter based on a conflict of interest.
We need a second, please.
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Boatich,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so just to clarify, what we're doing is we're requesting to set the public hearing.
Correct.
So no other decisions are being made here.
Correct.
I love this project, the bit I've seen of it already, that they want to maintain the look of the house. And honestly, walking by there pretty often, it needed some help. And so I think this, just at first glance, I think this is an interesting project, so. I don't know if I go right to setting the.
Well,
more-
let's give everyone else a chance to ask questions. Don't rush it through.
Yes.
Moving on.
Let's hear what you got to say.
Nothing's going according to Hoyle today.
I didn't know that there were any other questions, so sorry about that.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if it's just I heard the terms wrong, but did I hear the word special projects in this?
So we did ask them to apply as a special project just to make sure that deviations from any standards were sort of consistent. It was really just because adaptive reuse isn't defined and there are some standards in the district. So yes, they did technically apply as a special project. It is a unique use of that process.
So this will have to go to city council then?
Yes.
Okay. I do have a question myself. In the narrative, I'll quote, "We plan to preserve all existing exterior elements and simply update the exterior with fresh paint." I just would, I don't know how old this building last time, things have been done, but has there been any inspections done in terms of rotted wood, rails that need to repair, new shingles, things of that nature? And if not, should it be updated as part of the special project?
I think the applicant does have a presentation, so we'll let John speak to that.
All right.
Yeah. Good evening, John Campbell, live at 1135 North Oakentown, as well as work at the office next door to here. So 118, I'll kind of walk you guys through the presentation, and I'll address that question, but obviously if there's any other questions. So in regards to updating the exterior, it's really just whatever we need to do to bring it up to modern standards, and I know that modern standards isn't like officially defined, but basically, make sure it's a place that people want to go and see. So for example, like if there was rotten wood or anything like that as we go along, that would be replaced. One of the things that I will say, getting into the weeds a little bit, where we can, we definitely want to try to update things, and initially it's fresh paint, but if there was something that came along, that we would do that. So a little bit about the project. Laura did a really great job describing it. The location is right there in downtown. We're looking to rehabilitate the structure and use it as is. The big thing that has been a coordination between me and Jeremy from the city was kind of this, during our due diligence process, purchasing the building, which was going through like, okay, I know the city is not rezoning, going through a new master plan and stuff like that. What is the future of this? How does this look? We're kind of in that quasi period where something hasn't been officially adopted yet, but obviously the idea is like, we don't want to be in the midst of something when stuff changes, and so that was coordinated to that. History of the site, it was built in 1912, is from best what we can tell. Tiffany DeZerman gave me some background information. That's what she believes it was. It was a house, used as a house for one of the first dentists in town, is what it was told to me. Again, I don't have record of that. And then in 1972, Buckerfield Engineering Co. came in, and they were a civil engineer. And the family owned the property up until we purchased it in 2026. A few months ago, it became the Rosewood Tea House, then the Victorian Rose Tea House. I actually bust a few tables there because I knew the owner at the time of the tea house, which was fun. And then the property was vacated in 2024, and we've been in negotiations for a period of time to try to acquire the building, which we did. Existing site, you can see the structure, how it sits. Our landscaping crew came through to remove some weeds and things like that, and basically it's kind of just preserving the structure and how it looks and stuff like that, but again, bringing it up to the modern needs. Existing site. This is just a simple rendering of potentially what it could look like, throwing some paint on it, not moving windows or anything like that. I guess one thing to clarify, again, it's still in the weeds, is theoretically it could, we could replace windows, but the idea is we've maintained the openings. We're not looking to modify anything in that case. Let the structure kind of speak for itself is the idea. And to be candid, to move windows in a structure like this would not be great for the renovation budget. So, yeah, that's just that's high level. So, for the chairman, that's kind of, I guess that's what we mean by in terms of like fresh paint. We're not expanding the structure or anything along those lines.
Back to the commissioners. Any questions or comments? Mr. Stone?
Yeah, thank you. Nice presentation. I like the project, and I appreciate you guys investing in the community. There's a note in the planner's review on lighting, and your light study exceeds, I believe, the maximum allowable. Yeah, when I look at the house and I look at the drawings, I don't see lights or notes about lighting improvement. Maybe I missed it and went too quick, but where is the light coming from? Are you guys doing any improvements of lights or new fixtures? And if so, can you make an effort to use like down deflectors on the lights? Because this has been an issue in the community for the last few years.
Yeah, this might be the updated one, Lori, so this would not be what, this is not what was a lighting plan was submitted, but it wasn't, this is an updated one that's not officially being presented. But basically, we need to, from my understanding, from code purposes as well as safety, we need to have some sort of parking lot lighting, and I think currently there is none. And so there are some fixtures that can be installed to just, evening time, right, the parking lot's lit, if someone's backing up or walking on the parking lot. And the photometric plan we had prior was too strong of lights, it didn't fit the compliance. So we're really actually, in a hopefully a positive way, fully relying on our expert on our lighting people, and they're the ones that created the photometric plan for us. So from my understanding, it's essentially 4 fixtures around doors, entrances, and then the parking lot itself.
And Lori, those will exceed the allowables if
So-
they proceed?
As was mentioned, this is already an updated photometric plan that, per kind of my presentation, this is one of the examples where they've already started complying with our letter and meeting standards. So I have not reviewed the updated photometric plan. I asked, so every time he submits new plans, he has to pay money. And so I said, let's see what your comments are, and then you'll officially submit new plans and we'll review them. But I feel confident that we're gonna get to a place where that's compliant, and we'll work through that because he's already made steps.
Okay, thanks. Reading off yesterday's newspaper.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
I have another one. Back to my original question about special projects. I see in the big paragraph on the front page of your review, it says, given the absence of specific adaptive reuse standards in the zoning ordinance, blah, 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 this is a special project essentially. Is that a gap in our zoning ordinance then? Or I'm a little,
So.
what is the definition of adaptive reuse? Because it seems like, I would think there's a lot of projects that we see that qualify as that, but we haven't seen it jump into special projects because of that, so I just.
So this is one where sometimes things come down to who's administering the zoning ordinance, and we have some ability to kind of deviate based on our comfort level, so that might be part of it. But adaptive reuse doesn't have to be defined in your zoning ordinance, but when it's not, it then defers to a discretionary review. And instead of having a completely discretionary review, a special project essentially allows us to have a discretionary review within an established set of standards. And that, again, some of it is the comfort level of who's administering the ordinance. But that was my personal comfort, given the fact that this kind of, they're within the special project district, so it allowed us to do it in this case to have that procedural standard. But also, I think this is consistent with the idea of a special project, given the fact that they would be not following all of the requirements of the central business district, and the special project sort of allows them to work outside of some of those standards in a consistent means.
What are the other things in this CBD that they're not meeting or matching or following?
Primarily the fact that they were updating a large area of they were updating more than 50% of the gross floor area, and they were making no facade improvements.
So the work that we're doing in section 2118 right now?
Exactly.
Which, I know that's the current zoning, and it's defined as that right now, and I think we've talked about this in our subcommittee. Our view is really kind of alley to alley from east to west, and then University to Second Street, and this is kind of just outside of that, so not.
But it's the current
I know,
zoning.
it's the current zone.
And we had the conversation with the applicant that they could try to wait, and that they would probably then have absolutely no issue, and they preferred to proceed.
Understood. Okay. Thank you.
All right, then, shall we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to take this to public hearing, please.
I will support.
All right.
Do we have to give more detail, like what I don't know, like, say the address or anything in the
Well,
motion?
yes, for consideration is a site plan review and special project for 118 West Third Street, request to set a public hearing. We have a motion by Ms. Murphy, seconded by Mr. Hauser. Roll call, please.
Kendrick,
Yes?
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Milovich, Campbell, Hardin,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, consideration 6B was taken off the agenda by the applicant.
Mr. Chair, if I can just note, so if there is anyone remaining in the audience procedurally, we did just want to note what the, moving forward, the procedure will be on B. They will come back for consideration again and essentially follow the process and be asked to get a recommendation for another public hearing given the significant changes to the new application. But we did just want to make note of that for anyone.
Okay. Item C, consideration for 333 South Main, request for payment in lieu of public parking and request to set a public hearing. Jeremy, the parking?
Just one moment. Okay, before you tonight, we have 333 South Main Street. It is the former Shea Bella Salon, and it's above the salon. And they are looking to have a new wellness and maybe not wellness, it's a med spa at the end of the day. So they are they were going to be office and now going to med spa. It's 2 parking spaces per station. The current owner of the business she's the only employee, but she has 2 different procedures that she does at the med spa or the proposed med spa. So she has 2 different stations. When we broke up the upper story office based on square foot, they had 2 parking spaces allocated to them during the office square foot calculation. They need an additional 2 because she has an extra station that requires 2. So she's looking for 2 spaces at $1,000 per space. We've been in contact with her, and she's provided all the information that we need to get to this point so far. And I know that she is here today in the audience, but I think she's going to have a representative speak for her.
Okay. Well, I guess if the applicant would like to make a statement, come forward, please.
Yeah, good evening, Eric Heider, Polyarch 44045, Gratiot, Clinton Township, representing the tenant. Like Jeremy said, it is a medical spa. She does Botox and fillers, she's the only employee, so she does have 2 rooms, necessitate the extra parking space. So we're requesting 2 parking spaces. The hours are from Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturday, 9 to 3. So it's really just her and one other customer. Yes?
May I?
Yes, sir.
Are these appointment only?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Presuming one appointment at a time?
That's correct.
Okay.
Jeremy?
We will do the normal procedure parking study with the police parking enforcement officer leading up to the public hearing, whenever that may be.
Ms. Murphy?
Which lot or which area would the 2 spaces
It would
be close?
300 blocks, so it would probably be
Brunch house.
the brunch house
Oh.
lot area and the Masonic lot, and we could probably do the parking structure as well because it's equal distance from the brunch house to the parking structure. So that kind of corridor. But only, it would only be the west side of Maine. We wouldn't go to the
Right,
east side.
right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, then if there are no others, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to set this for public hearing for their special exception request for payment in lieu of 2 parking spaces.
For 333 South Main?
For 333 South Main Street, yes, sir.
Roll call, please.
Kenjuk?
Yes.
Hauser?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Milovich?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Hardin?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes,
Stone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice evening.
thank you.
Two.
All right, item D, consideration of 1120 North Main Street, site plan review for facade modification and request to set a public hearing.
So this is an amendment to an existing site plan that was given approval at the August 2024 Planning Commission meeting. This is, it was granted site plan and special exception to construct the existing 2.5-story mixed-use building, including office space and on the first floor and residential units on the upper floors. So there were no changes to the approved uses as proposed in the plans received. The existing access and circulation on the site remain unchanged, and no modification was proposed as part of the application. No changes to the parking layout or number of spaces are proposed as part of the amendment. The amendment does not propose any change to the refuse collection on site. The facade changes to the existing building is constructed predominantly of red brick with limestone accents and includes numerous architectural details, including decorative metal railings, accent arch window elements, and pitched roof consistent with the Planning Commission's previously approved design. So that was what was built, and the current application proposes the addition of 8 windows on the second floor of north elevation, 2 windows on the first floor of the north elevation, and a new door on the east elevation facing the parking lot. No other modifications to the building exterior design, materials, or overall architectural character are proposed, but because these are new openings for windows, it does necessitate the major facade approval. Lighting remains the same, screening remains the same, and landscaping, as previously proposed, landscaping remains unchanged. So the proposed exterior elevation modifications are minor in scope, even though we would classify them as a major facade change, and maintain the overall architectural character. The addition of the windows on the north elevation, new entrance on the east elevation are compatible with the previously approved design and do not substantially alter the appearance, so we recommend approval of moving this to public hearing.
So this project, Roy discussed it very well, but this came up when we were doing building permitting. So they had submitted for building plans, and then I do my review process, and these were changes that were caught that made it necessary for them to come back. I gave them the option, you could go back to the other ones. A lot of the windows, other than the door on the east elevation, they were already there. They're just in different locations because they were adjusted for interior walls, to my understanding. So they currently have building plans, but these are or building permits, these are so far in advance that they are able to do all of the other structural work without having to modify the windows at that current time. They're just gonna cut bigger entrance and then they'll shift the windows where they need to be. So they're still under construction if you see them there working, but these are so far down the line that it won't be 2 months before they get there, so.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions, comments? All right, is the applicant, sir, step up, please.
Good evening, Xander Bogarts, architect, 2445 Franklin, Bloomfield House. Just like Jeremy and the presentation said, you can see the red bubbles around the areas that changed, and most of these windows are the exact same size, exact same configuration, exact same trim, and they've literally shifted inches. So this is a technicality, but in our view, but we're really excited about this building, and that's all I have for you. Thanks.
Thank you. Come back to the commissioners. Jenna?
I had just one maybe clarification question, probably for the architect. As I was studying these plans, I noticed that in elevation, the windows are quite tall, close to kind of the floor, and I noticed in plan, like on the main level, the window in the kitchen appears to be overlapping with cabinetry, and then upstairs, I couldn't tell how tall those windows were, but there are also windows in front of like the kitchen sink and then another in the tub shower. So I'm just curious if the window heights you show in elevation are truly what they're going to be, because they appear to be kind of overlapping some of those elements inside, and wondered if they would change in construction and size.
Right. So the, excuse me, the first floor, the office, we've been tweaking and playing with that quite often. And so the kitchen and the restroom, like you mentioned, so that's kind of why we're here tonight. We've spoken to the client about this, and we said, the more changes we make, we have to go back before the planning commission. So we made this change, and we said, you know, if you do it this way, you're gonna have to cut back on the cabinetry around that window. It's
So
gonna
it'll
be,
kind of step back a
yeah,
little
it's
bit.
kind of unusual. I said with the bathroom, we're gonna have to get creative. We're gonna have to block off that lower portion. He said, I'm okay with that. And I said, well, we will roll the dice and see what happens. And so, for instance, on this floor plan at the bottom, and that, yes, thank you, Jeremy. That's just a water meter door that we're required by code to have, and we didn't show it on the previous version, so that door has to be accessed from the outside. So these kinds of things that we're doing were small tweaks. And you know, I keep talking with the owner, and hopefully we'll get this nailed down. And Jeremy's been super helpful, and so has the building official. He's been fantastic to us. So whatever we need to do, we'll keep, you know, if we modify anything, we'll come back before you.
So the window openings you show in elevation are what will be built, and if they're interfering with those interior elements, they'll kind of work around them, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any more questions? Okay. Can we entertain a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for 1120 North Main Street site plan review for facade modification to set this item for the next public hearing, next available public hearing.
Second.
Mr. Berlitich, seconded. Thank you. Roll call, please. Or, no, yeah, roll call.
Kenjuk,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Berlitich,
Yes.
Campbell, Harden,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving on. Miscellaneous. We have some committee updates. Since Mr. Bachman is not here, Mr. Hauser, would you pinch hit for him?
With respect to the amendments for the bylaws, so he circulated the minutes. I think we're close to the finish line, right, Mayor?
Yes.
And so I'm cautiously optimistic that at the next meeting, brace yourselves, we will come here and present to the full planning commission what we believe are our updated bylaws since 1995, I believe, right? And so some wholesale changes, but most of it substantively is the same, but we've just updated it obviously for 2026. So that'll probably be the next meeting, okay?
And if I'm not mistaken, they'll actually get a draft.
They will get a draft in advance, and there will be questions and quizzes on it, so please be prepared, yes, for the public too.
And we will not be
Looking at you, Ms. Coleman.
I don't think we'll be presenting every bylaw change. That's why we will give it to them in advance.
You can do that on your own,
Yes,
that's right,
exactly.
over the weekend,
Just to clarify.
yes.
All right. And then another update is regarding the standards or design standards.
Yes, I was hoping to have a document to talk about today. We don't have it, but you will have it. It'll be distributed to the rest of the planning commission within the next week. Please take a look at it, go through it. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions. Reach out. I'm going to reach out to everybody to the extent I can to answer any questions or talk about any items, so we have a more informed discussion as a group collectively next time. during that time too, as I had mentioned before too, if anybody wants to walk and talk and what does some of this stuff mean, and very happy to do that with anyone at any time. So take a look at the document, review it. It doesn't look at all like what we have now, if you even know what we have now looks like. So I think we're very excited about it. I think it's come a long way from the beginning. It looks like a different format. And the interesting thing is we all have to remember we have design standards now, and they are far from perfect. A good example of this is the 3rd Street project Jenna had to recuse herself for. Technically, the design standards apply to that. And what we're doing, the work that we've done will make it easier and better for projects like that and other projects moving forward that, you know, we have something now, but we're trying to get something through that is better and will make it better. So the quicker we can do that, the better it is for everybody, all the applicants.
Thank you.
Doing projects in the city.
Almost forgot. Would you like to do the honors?
No, because he needs full credit for this. So
Well,
I was sort of a voyeur through the process.
Part of one of the committee's works, along with the bylaws, was also to come up with a training and onboarding and outshoot of the onboarding processes. We've come up with a planning commission handbook. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first one ever. And it contains it's basically a reference manual, if you will. There's key documents in here. There's things like the master plan, section 2118 of the ordinance, which is key to the work that we do, Open Meetings Act, zoning and planning commission acts. And it's hopefully going to be a living document. As time goes on, we make modifications, we'll update it. In fact, there will be a modification as soon as the new bylaws are approved. It'll be the first one that goes in. So, very happy that we got that done quickly.
Rich spearheaded this, and coming in, we knew we needed an onboarding process for the new commissioners, but he really took it very seriously. And
all right, thank you.
Megan was a big help also.
Definitely, definitely. And then also, we had our first meeting of what was labeled the Future Applications Committee, which was to focus on South Street as well as a housing study. We met yesterday. And coming out of the joint planning and city council meeting that we had a couple weeks back, at least for myself, I felt the need to accelerate the program because I really think that we need to get both of those projects done before the end of the year, especially before we start working on the master plan. So coming out of that meeting, there was basically a recommendation from the group to split that into two. Have one subcommittee that's going to focus on housing, and then have a second subcommittee that's going to focus on South Street. The members of the Housing Committee will remain. That's Mr. Berlitich, Ms. Campbell, Ms. Murphy, myself. And then for the South Street project, we would recruit different commissioners, and that would be Mr. Hardin, Mayor Jones, Mr. Stone, and myself. And then we'll just try to proceed as best as we can. There probably will be a fair amount of overlap because we probably will be drawing on statistics, housing, density, things of that nature. And then
Involve any work that McKenna's already done, so we'll use you as a reference.
Okay.
That'll be great.
And then I guess any questions? Well, any questions from the commission or any questions of, yes?
Just one for Mr. Banda. There was the property that came up first, or maybe not first, but it was the home office where we talked about the roof. Can you update us as to what's going on to the property next to it that needs a lot of work?
So for the layman, it's the old collision shop. We've had a love-hate relationship with Travis and his dad, James Riley. They've owned it 7 years, taking advantage of everything they can to leave it a dump. So we code enforcement them, everything. David, our new code enforcement officer, is real good. And we sat down there and said, just make it, tear it down, pay the taxes, or do something. So I'm proud to say today, Jeremy was at a conference today, I signed the plans to give the building permit to do exactly what he got approved by the planning commission. just doesn't have a tenant. So the doctor and his wife that were gonna be the tenant, Travis said, I'm just gonna build that exact same building, because it's a beautiful building, and he got his plans today. So finally, we're gonna see it going.
Is there any type of timeline as to when he's gonna get it going? Because that's always
So
the,
just so you can get contracts. It's pretty much, the old building's demoed, because it was being prepared. Everything's gone from, that needs to be there, so now it's just add on the new building.
Okay.
So, they said immediately start. so
Okay.
I'm
thank you
excited.
for the update.
What does it look like now? I think when we saw it, it was like all siding and some awnings, and I think the motion
There
was
was a
to
bunch of
for
glass
brick.
in the front. It was, remember it had those garage doors that rolled up, because
Yeah.
we were, people doing physical therapy were gonna be seen on Main Street, but it's pretty cool. I could see some kind of, I don't wanna say coffee shop, because two of the coffee shops, Kuman was having a coffee shop, these two separate Yemenis young men that were coming in with Yemenis coffee. So that, we see some activity once in a while in Kuman. Today I got a call, you were going, so I didn't tell you this. Today I got a call from a restaurateur in Troy who is for 16 years, runs a Mexican restaurant, her and her husband. And they went and looked at the property because it's available at the, not give thanks, I always say give thanks, but at the Fieldstone Winery. So evidently those boys, gentlemen, young men, bailed. So they paid rent for a year and didn't do anything. They demoed the inside, so now it's gotta be rebuilt, so she's got some hurdles, liquor license and stuff like that, but, so that one's not gonna be built. So, built out, so we'll see what happens on his shop. I know, Jeremy, you talked to Travis Swansea, and talked maybe about some kind of a little cafe or something. But we always tell them, my job as economic development is, make sure you know what your competition is. We don't need somebody closing because we have too many of one thing, so.
and I'm sorry, Rich, one more question. There was the property that came in, it would be on the east side, it was the old jewelry store.
Smith Jewelers.
So
Smith
just a
Jewelers.
collage, right, Smith Jewelers, so it was gonna be an English pub, and then his office above it, and now it could be a fitness studio above it, and maybe an English pub, maybe not. Peter, all over the place on both his projects, so it was gonna be a pretzel shop on the other one, and then it turned into Pilates above it, so whatever they're doing, they can have whatever tenants they want. If they change the outside of the building, obviously they have to come back to you guys, but he's all said, I'm good with what it looks like, I just don't know who I wanna put inside based on that, so. And Dino's is going through the same thing, you know, we send people there, the Chapman House is going through the same thing. The Meeting House is going through the same thing. You'll see new signs, so Glenn from the Roxy bought, am I okay doing this with you guys? No. Glenn bought the DeMarco's and rebranding it into a combination of, if you've ever been to Rudy's Steakhouse in Clarkston, it's gorgeous, and Cruise Amir, American food, just solid fare. He's turning that into a dinner and a movie, but his own restaurant. He owns the Oakland, him and his wife run the Oakland, great restaurant, a little bit out of the way, but, so he's taken over that. And then the gentleman that, my neighbor on Wesley, who bought the Nigerian's building where the cheese lady is, gave her like another 18-month lease to stay in there, because he's gonna turn into an English bookstore. He has this passion for a 3-story bookstore, it's really cool, but he doesn't wanna push her out until she can find something else, so he's leaving her stay there, so there's a lot of moving parts. Moon River had to change, their architect died, I think, or the builders. That's Travis's, okay. So Moon River's just putzing, and we would like to see them get building. Obviously, the elevator's cranking right now. Randazzo's digging out the bad dirt at First and Walnut, so the Grahams, they're putting the brick up now. So there's a lot going on. And then all of our projects on top of that, so, busy.
I have a question to build on that. So Solaronics, I know they,
Oh, there you go.
are they taking the dirt out? What happens
It's done,
next?
so that site is demolished, it was above ground, so that, it's all clean now, so now they will start, they got engineering, second review today, yesterday, went over today, and so they will start construction there pretty soon, underground will be next, so they're not
Because they're
waiting.
brownfield, correct?
Correct, so it's cleaned up, it was basically the building was the brownfield, and some of the stuff in the back, so that's all
Wasn't it
cleaned
like
up.
$1 million or something? That was-
Yeah, they worked fast, so, yeah, it's pretty much clean. So if when they start digging foundations, there might be a little bit more work, but yeah, the big bulk of it was that demolition and then way in the back, so. That's a very efficient company. They want to get going, they want that thing built out by next, fall, a year from now. And then we met on Main Street, so it's still on schedule, south from the bridge, South Bridge to M59 next spring. And then our bridge to Tinkin, widening it 6 inches on each side. There's been some misunderstandings on Facebook page. Somebody told me that someone's saying they're widening it 6 feet. No, it's 6 inches. It's kind of a wedge. The lanes will be 11-foot lanes, all of them. Right now, some are 8, 9, 12, 10. So now it'll be all 11 lanes from our bridge to Tinkin. That is not until 28. So all new water main, we have money for that.
Someone said that they were gonna do diversion in that process. They're not, are they?
Diversion?
Not for, what is the road that, there's a light, when you go through up South Hill?
Oh, down by the South Bridge? No, diversions, no.
They said for some
They
reason
were
in
gonna
the
do a little bit of work at the presentation, they talked just a
That's
little
what
bit.
they said.
The intersection.
It's some
there.
approach
Of course,
stuff.
the intersection,
Okay,
yeah.
because I said, well, I don't think they're redoing that whole road.
No.
No.
Okay.
And then the
They
community
misunderstood.
house, the community house, I was told today, they start September 1st, they're gonna shut it down.
Yep.
Try to speed it up and get this whole thing done all at one time, so. The trails, we're working through the granting process to get the last dollars. We're gonna cement from the DeQuinder, 1,000 feet past the ice arena, so no more water problems. They're elevating the trail, draining it all, and then resurface from there. It's been resurfaced from, there to the Rookery, and then from the Rookery to the trailhead, that's all gonna get resurfaced. So they completed the other washout on, down below the South Bridge. They put it in the fall, it was bad asphalt. They just ripped it all out, put it all back in red. It went all the way to the bridge, so it's beautiful. That's done. Play lots are just about done. They're refurbishing all that stuff. Elizabeth Park, we're working out the final plans to go out for process, for bids.
That's
It's
great,
like,
I'm excited.
and so Great Oaks started today. They started cutting the curbs. So they're gonna do curb replacement, take about 3 weeks, and then all of the streets in Great Oaks are being filled. And the same contractor's going to do Runyon from the second turnaround
Yeah, that changed
all the
then.
way, so we had a great meeting with the Oakland County Road Commission. Like, could you speed up the process? Because our guy has 2 crews. He said, I can do all 3 of these projects if you turn me loose now.
Okay.
So they turned him loose, we turned him loose on Great Oaks, he's doing that now. Then they will do Letica from the fire hall all the way up, mill and fill that. And then, Runyon from the second turnaround all the way to DeQuinder, including a right turn. All that's gonna be done by November. So it's like, because
Wow.
they're using those roads as the detours
Right,
when they
when they
close
start
South
the
End.
other
So we have to get them
Yeah.
done now.
Yeah.
So they're a little more lenient with this, so. And then the whole city's getting striped. So a lot of it's been done already, the majors, but now we're gonna finish striping the rest. So, we had a really good year financially, so, with the council and our budget reserve, so there's a lot of stuff getting done. Pretty cool.
Did you just ask them?
For the record, that was one question with 37 subparts, yes, so thank you. Sorry, fellas.
Do you know when they're gonna start Runyon?
September, no, let's see, so the Runyon is, 3rd week in September.
Okay, as I understand, they're actually gonna if they're gonna repave it, but they're actually gonna shut Runyon down.
Yeah.
For like 2
All
weeks.
from the turn, from.
Yeah.
So they can just rip it out and get it done,
Roundabout
otherwise they
lot,
never get it done, We don't want them paving in November, so they're gonna shut it down. And we know the school bus, we talked to the school bus.
Yeah, they got a
folks
school
and all
bus
that,
route
so,
already.
Yeah, that'll be done. Letica will be done first, that's in a couple of weeks, so that's a easier one.
That'll be interesting. Because when they were doing the water main on DeQuinder, traffic volumes going down Wingate were like triple.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be again, so.
It'll be
they'll,
busy.
we'll have some short-term,
It'll be a little
but it's only a
painful.
2-week project, so.
Okay.
Toll Road.
Till it rains, I realize.
Yes.
Hey, Rich?
Yes, sir.
City calendar says our next meeting is on September 7th, which is Labor Day.
Really?
It did say.
That or September 8th?
Let me see.
Have it as the 8th.
Hold on.
Sure. Thank you for bringing that up,
We'll look right now.
yeah.
Don't come on me.
September 8th, 7 o'clock, regularly scheduled planning commission meeting.
One of the ones that we changed.
That was one of the ones we
pushed it.
And then November's
All right.
gonna be Wednesday as well.
You're saying it is changed? The city calendar still has it on that Monday, just.
It'll be updated. It's not.
And the agenda to do that as well, because this one,
This
yep,
one got.
yep. People watch those.
They are.
All right, any other questions that would fall under miscellaneous? All right, then if not, folks, you've been here for 2.5 hours. Would you like to step up and say anything or have any public comments?
Thank you for the work you're doing, like, especially with all of the subcommittee meeting, with the onboarding and all of those things. That is really difficult work and time-consuming, but in the long run, will pay off, and it's much appreciated.
Well, thank you for noticing.
Thank you. That's good public comment.
Yeah. You say that again at the podium?
All right, well, not quite.
We're invited back next week.
Anyone online, Rose?
No one's online.
All right, then it is 9:35. This meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Jeremy, can you?